right, everybody, welcome back to 7CR. We're recording on July 3rd. Happy Independence Day early for everybody here in the United States. For anybody else, we're sorry. Just apologize in advance.
Okay.
But it's okay. Twab actually had some stuff this week. There's been a lot of news this week. From a Bungie summit to Sandbox tune changes to Chance clapping people into being an aggressive warlock on Twitter. For people that don't follow Chance, somebody tweeted an image of some DMs after a match, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I sucked," and he's like, "Wait, you're supposed to be toxic. Try again. Call me a slur." And the guy's like, "Nah, I'm good." And I was like, "See, this is how warlocks are supposed to talk to people, Chance. You're supposed to be nice." Because if you've ever played or watched Chance, he is the most aggressive warlock I have ever met.
I swear I'm not that aggressive. It's just, if you give me toxic energy, you're going to get it back tenfold. That's just how it goes.
It's just like, I wish you would. Give me a reason. Just go ahead. Try me.
I'm usually so nice, and then
I feel like
you try me and it goes off.
We're just going to give Chance like this big old medal to wear. Just try me. Look around and find out. Mess with my man's, catch these hands. Anywho, it's just hilarious because he totally like big Titan energy on this guy. But there was a Bungie summit. They invited a lot of PvP people out. What do y'all think?
I'm not going to lead this one off. I'm going to hold off.
Ooh, that means he
let you
disagrees
boys
with
speak.
it.
I'll lead it then. So, hey, they had a whole summit. Had a bunch of people come out. I think this is the second one we've learned about this year. They had one before, but I don't know if that was PvP focused exactly.
To be full disclaimer, we aren't sure that they're PvP. It's just the people that were invited are a lot of big name
they were
PvPers.
PvP guys. But
I mean, it kind of lines up with the we're going to make changes to PvP mindset that they've been saying they're trying to fix.
But I mean, we're in the 8th year of Destiny, right? Like, it's a franchise as a whole thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, they're the Halo devs. Shouldn't you know how PvP should work by now?
Yeah. I mean,
we've had so many of these before. Can y'all just figure it out by now? Do we really need to send people from our community into your house, basically, to tell you how the game should run at this stage in the game? Come on. Especially when the entire community is pretty much crying the same things over and over. And I know, we bitch about a lot of things, but there are certain things that are obvious.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this one, because truthfully, I do agree with you, Chance. It's been 8 years. Come on, but at the same time, they are, like you said, they are Halo developers, and Halo really didn't have the amount of abilities and perk choices and kinds of stuff and systems that Destiny has. So it's harder to balance them without breaking shit. Although, obviously, shit gets broken anyway. Looking at you, Telesto, and trace rifles, and what else? Fellwinders for a while there. Right now it's doable, but I still question some things about how fast somebody can come around a corner. I'm sliding into them, and I'm getting a melee off. I'm in the process of getting a melee off because I snuck up on them, but they could still kill me because their shotgun was down, but it somehow every single pellet needed to hit me. It's kind of like that's ass. Because if I'm trying to do the same thing with an Astral or something else that's not Fellwinders, it's not going to happen.
At that point, it's just RNG, I feel like. But that's also a big thing, too, because there's RNG in gunfights still after years and latency,
Peer-to-peer connections. We're in 2021, and we're still doing peer-to-peer PvP.
we could just have dedicated servers, and I know those cost a lot, obviously, but that would solve the issue.
Bungie makes a lot, though.
Yeah.
We're at the point where they're expanding, right? They want to become more than a single thing, they want to be more than a single title franchise. Like, they want to have more than one franchise, right? Like, they want to be an actual like game developer where they don't need a production like an Activision or an EA to help them produce games and get them distributed.
Yeah.
And that's all well and good. It's just,
but like,
you want to put some more of that to Destiny? Like, we've been asking for these dedicated servers since Taken King, at least.
I mean, we kind of paid for that, right? Like,
yeah,
it's, I don't know.
If Bungie ever did like some kind of monthly subscription and with it came dedicated servers, would y'all be down with it?
Okay,
I would stop playing.
Dedicated subscriptions would almost kill Destiny.
Yeah.
Nobody does. I shouldn't say nobody. Most games don't do subscriptions anymore, though. Like, it's very popular, like in the MMO genre, but MMOs as a whole, outside of like WoW, really aren't. I don't want to say they're not popular, but they're definitely not like
They're very niche.
Yeah, they. If Destiny was a game like, 20 years ago, not even 20 years ago, it's a little bit further, 15 years ago, and we're talking subscriptions, maybe, back when like WoW was at its peak and RuneScape was this thing, and God, I can't remember some of the other ones.
Elder Scrolls
Online,
I mean, like, does something similar where you pay your monthly subscription. You don't have to. It gives you an extra bag for materials, and the money that you spend, you get it back in in-game currency to spend in basically their Eververse store.
The only problem is Bungie's not going to. If they did that, 100% Eververse wouldn't be changing. It would stay exactly how it is, so you're paying for all those cosmetics and stuff that you want, and then a subscription fee on top of
it. Or they could do like what I just said with Elder Scrolls Online, that you basically
could, but it's hard to. They set that up from. I'm not saying from the get-go, but like they had those kind of systems in place. Yes, like it's not like a switch, like, we're going to do this now. It's, for a business, there's no way that they would do it. It would it's either both or they continue. I mean, like, Eververse is super profitable anyway, so they don't necessarily need the subscription fee. I mean, think about it. So they get all that. I mean, we talked about it back in December or January, where within the first like 48 hours, just one thing in the Eververse store made like $750,000. I mean, I know that's not enough for like a dedicated server, but that's like 2 days worth of, like, that's insane.
No.
So I mean, we're kind of getting a little off topic, but I did want to say, as far as like get it right after 8 years, I want to say I'm going to defend them, and then I'm going to give my viewpoint.
Okay. I'm going to
defend them in the fact. Yeah. So here's your one compliment of the week, Bungie.
You got
so
nice
they
shoes.
definitely they switched engines, right? Like they definitely went from one extreme, like, having to go from like one extreme to the other. And they really didn't have PvP. Like, I would say PvP was just a giant shit show in D1. Like, realistically, at the end of D1's life cycle was a mess.
Yeah.
And then they just scrapped it all. I'm willing to bet they literally just scrapped everything. Maybe they're reusing assets or whatever for gun models or, but I think it's definitely, I mean, D2 is definitely a different game from D1, so it can't necessarily be just, like, you should know, like, this needs to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't just
I feel you.
It's different. It's slightly different, but the same thing. So it's not necessarily, oh, you should get it right. However, I am going to agree with you. I think the summits are absolutely useless. However, I think it's for a different reason.
So wait,
I
hold
am
on. Before you go into
Yeah.
what you say about the summons, let me just clarify a little bit. When I say like get it right, I don't mean like obviously the Sandbox and Destiny is a lot bigger than
Yeah.
Halo. It's not like just 5 guns versus 5 guns. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
no.
I'm saying the issue with this franchise, and it seems to like repeat itself year after year. I think.
Oh, it does. It does.
It's always shotguns. It's always super
long
abilities, and it's usually like someone's like one hit ability going off, just slaughtering people. Which that's a new ability when it usually comes out, like 10 out supernova or well, that's the big one I can think of right now. But and that's fine. That's all well and good. It takes time to, I guess,
Yeah.
tune.
I
We've
mean,
kind of sat through that now. But like,
yeah.
we how many times have we nerfed shotguns to the point where we launched Destiny 2 when they were heavy weapons for a reason, and they still weren't doing what they're doing right now. But you know what I mean? Like, how many
No. I
times
get it. Yeah.
we got to go through that? That's what's frustrating about this game.
I feel like just on the topic of shotguns, feel like around the time where like I want to say Taken King, when fusion rifles became super prevalent in the meta, I would say shotguns were, if they had just tweaked them a little bit further from that, I think they would have been in a nice sweet spot. I don't get. I think Bungie creates their own messes, right? Like, so like Fellwinters wouldn't have been an issue if they didn't do the previous shotgun changes where they made all other shotguns super inconsistent.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like if they kept shotguns consistent but reined them back, then you don't have the issue of Fellwinters, being the only shotgun people were using. Now it's going to happen the same thing with the Reese Walker, right? I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but it's everywhere right now.
PC or Xbox? Clarify now that you're on both.
I've seen it both. Okay. I've seen it on both. I literally just played a game where a guy, it was like glued to his hands on PC. And I've played most of my Iron Banner bounties this week on console. So
One of us.
Well, I just happen to be playing with you guys, so I mean, yeah.
Facts.
But yeah, no, like I definitely agree. Like it should be like, okay, well this. And I'm pretty sure I had this conversation with Tibber when I think he DM'd me, and I was like, he's like, oh, well, like look at the changes, and I'm like, well, yeah, you know what's gonna happen?
Fusions.
Fusions. I said it. Fusions are it's gonna swing right back to fusions like Taken King. But anyway.
And I live here. I've already got the Exile's Curse with slide shot and under pressure. Or no, it's a slide shot and Kickstarter.
Oh man,
get wrecked, kids.
It doesn't affect me whatsoever.
We'll get into the changes, but I'm going to give my opinion on some. I think you're right. I think they're kind of useless. I agree with what you said, but I also think they're useless for another reason. So I'm going to go back to probably a couple months ago when I was just chilling watching Candy Cakes one day, during a stream, and they were talking about how great that D1 or D2 vanilla meta was for PvP.
Oh boy.
And I sat there and I was like, man, that is the most off. I don't want to say off base. It's almost out of touch with what Destiny actually is as far as a take, right? Like that's just like Destiny's a game of abilities, right? Like I know we all have problems with like stasis abilities and people just, murking out with that. Oh, there's no skill to it. I agree. But Destiny's a game where abilities matter, gunplay matters. It's not just gunplay or it shouldn't be just one or the other. Right?
Right.
D2's vanilla, I mean, it was all I was talking to Timber when we were talking about scout rifles. He's like, "Oh, Mida's pretty good now." I'm like, Mida gives me PTSD from vanilla D2 launch. All the team shotting with that stupid gun.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just I think a lot of the top PvP guys, and I know they brought out a lot of those top like PvP people, not just content creators, but PvP people. Because I saw they invited like somebody from like, I forget what he does. I think he's the guy who does all like the dim loadouts for PvP and stuff.
Mercules.
Yeah.
He
I don't
makes
know
the
if he
wish
streams
list.
or not, does he?
The wish list. He also has a podcast that
Yeah. So
firing range.
and this is no shot at him or anyone else in particular, but I feel like some of those guys are a little bit self-serving, right? Like instead of what is best for Destiny, it's more this is what I want. This is what I want Destiny to be. And I think that's the problem. We had that problem with Luke Smith, right? Everyone's big issue was Luke's vision's out of like off base from what we actually want. I think if Bungie started simple, right? Like we've had the same complaints for years as far as like metas and sandboxes, but make comp actually like worth playing other than just hitting legend and Unbroken, right? Like there's no real reason to play comp other than that. Maybe your powerful rewards or whatever every week. But like there's nothing. They changed pinnacles, which I personally like the changes to pinnacles, but there's really no reason to play comp, right? Like I'm not getting golf balls out of it, right? Like I'm not getting prisms, I'm not getting shards, like it's just I mean that would be a big one for me, and I know that would be a big one for a lot of people. Because there's just no reason other than your personal enjoyment, right? Like if you enjoy comp, go ahead, go play it. But there's no actual reward for it. I would say, obviously, sandbox changes. Like it's gotten to the point where we're able to say, okay, well, they're going to change this, so everyone switch over to Wristwalker. Like that's community. Like the amount of posts and like Twitter comments and stuff like that. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, at least they're kind of acknowledging it in the TWABs and stuff now, where they're like, okay, well, we're going to change this, so we think this is what's going to happen, and we're ready for it. So I do appreciate that, but at the same time, man, there's no reason. I mean, there's a lot that PvPers want, like fix comp, give us maps, maybe do something to trials, because we've sat and had I would say we have at least 3 or 4 episodes on trials alone.
Yeah.
I mean, like, those are things that Bungie should know are issues within the community, because it's everywhere. It's not things like I'm going, oh man, I would really like this. They're on Reddit, and I know that the community managers are on Reddit, and they pass things along there. They're on Twitter constantly. I think, all this information goes everywhere. Right? Like I could see it on Facebook comments. I see it on YouTube. Like it's not like it's hidden or a secret that Bungie shouldn't know. I think if they started there with those things, I know it's a very big list if you like, designing new maps and all that kind of stuff. But if you start there and kind of work your way out, I mean, I don't know. I think starting with some of the bigger things would make sense. I mean, you don't have to have a conference to know that, Trials is a mess sometimes, a lot of the time, but
for Gammy with his thing, he's always acknowledged that double primary meta that he's a fan of was never.
I'm not saying like that's something he's pushing.
Oh no, there's never been anything. But the reason why he speaks so fondly of it is because he is a highly competitive player, and for him, he feels like.
I know why he said it. Yeah, I know why he said it. It's just, and why he likes it. It's just, if that's like, I'm worried that's the type of information that gets passed on, because I just don't trust people, right? Like people, and like people in general, just they can be very self-serving, and definitely when it comes to, I mean, like look at the whole back in cheating thing. Oh, I never used cheats. I never used cheats. Blah 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 blah. And then SmackDown, right? Like it's.
I mean, that's other news that happened this week. The whole thing with Backen that he, for those unfamiliar, got banned, And the reason being, he was cheating on alternate accounts, and those had been banned already. And he says that he'd never been banned, yada yada. And DMG comes out on Twitter and says, "You've been banned from using accounts that for accounts that were banned," and basically says that because of that, your main account that you use is considered ban evasion, and clapped him.
Yeah. But all right, so like that happened, right? And he said it on Twitter, and it was real funny. Then you've got people like there are other people who saw this situation, said, "All right, I'm going to hop on this train." Did an interview with him before the SmackDown happened, and then did another video after that saying, "Oh, he lied after the SmackDown happened." So you can't tell me people are not like in it for themselves. Like, I get it, content creation's a business.
Well, the person that did the interview is all that he runs the Destiny News. So can you really? Yeah. The guy thinks that he's escaped to Destiny.
That's my point, though, right? Like, if there are people in the community, and I'm sure there were people at that summit who aren't necessarily suggesting things because they're good for the benefit of the game, but it's because that's what they want, right? Like, if you're going to a summit, Tiver, for example, say they invited you, right? Are you just going to be like, Titans should be invincible?
Right? I want to be able to blink.
Stop! No, don't blink at me.
Yes.
Good God.
Absolutely. Let Titans blink. I'll be happy.
Don't you put that evil on us.
My eye fucking twitched. Jesus Christ.
There's that aggressive warlock energy I was talking about.
You get what I'm saying, man? There's like it's.
I want to be able to run, blink, and then shoulder charge immediately afterwards.
There are people that
give me some anime style bullshit and let's do this.
There are people that are that delusional in the community, and it's. I wouldn't put it past some of the people in the PvP community. I'm not naming names or making accusations. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't trust. But, it's. I just don't think we have the need for summits, especially when we've been. How do you fix PvP? Well, here's a ton of feedback all over everywhere. Mm-hmm. You should have enough by now.
Totally unrelated. How did the conversation of Titans and blinking come up in the Discord?
I don't even remember.
We were talking about blinking. Yeah, we were talking about blinking around, and as a hunter, I was like, man, I wish I could blink again. And I think that's where it came from. Because we were talking about like blinking on Warlock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember now.
And then it just kind of...
What if a Titan could blink?
Oh, God.
Imagine Ace being able to blink with a freaking GL. Little t-shirt cannon after a blink.
That wouldn't help him at all. You can't really blink in GL. That's why I don't usually do it. But I don't want to imagine Ace blinking and thunder crashing, so let's just keep that out of
yes.
Blinking it. Oh God, no.
With Synthos attached.
No, go away.
No,
this makes me happy inside.
I don't like you.
I mean, it's okay.
All right. So yeah, let's get on to the TWAB, since we actually have news, right? I'm just gonna go and proclaim us as the Destiny PvP news source, voice of the community now, because that's a thing people do. So we're the voice of the PvP community now. Surprise!
Ta-da!
You get no choice in the matter. I'm just proclaiming it, so it must be true. You heard it on the internet. Believe everything you hear on the internet.
I proclaimed it.
So we are gonna start with
some weapons aren't gonna be able to two-tap anymore.
Well, let's go. Hang on. They kind of defined how they want certain weapons to work. So, which is, I think, a big step for them, because I operate under the mindset that Bungie has no clue how they want anything to work. Sniper rifles, long range and stuff, shotguns, engage at point point blank range using skill at movement or positioning to get close enough for a 1-hit or 2-hit elimination. They also, as far as snipers, they don't engage at long range while aiming with aiming skill when not already under fire. So that kind of goes with their flinch changes that they threw in 2 seasons
Which
ago or
makes
whatever.
sense.
Engaging at mid-range for fusion rifles, but with careful positioning and pre-charging around cover required for success. So they want you to preemptively try and plan your shots with fusions, which is really the advice everyone gives with fusions anyway.
Yeah.
So they're not really changing.
The only thing I can think they may change is change the range gap. Or remove the range gap.
Oh, God, no.
Well, the thing is, with the range cap right now, if you go with every single possible perk to give you the max range, and then you go with something that does not add range at all, the difference is like 3 meters. Where your changes as far as fusion rifles come from is stability, tightening that cone up. For people that don't know, when you use a fusion, the lower your stability number, the wider the cone of where the possible areas these bolts can go. You tighten the cone by having a higher stability, you have a smaller area of where that cone can go. Of course, the closer the enemy is, the closer they are into that area of getting a
kill shotgun
shot.
Should work.
I agree.
Just saying.
Make the pellet
shotgun should work.
Make stability. Make the pellet spray tied to stability, and then you're going to make
stability great again.
It would make shotguns more consistent instantly.
So the next thing up isn't even actually special. Well, does it take special ammo? Trace rifles?
Yes,
they take special. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't use. I literally think when we looked at it, I had 2 trace rifle kills in PvP my entire Destiny career, and I have over
brother.
I think I have over like. Yeah, I think I have over like 2,000 kill or 2,000 hours in D2 or something like that. Something ridiculous. But strong at close to mid-range at the cost of not being a 1-hit elimination, making it possible to be outplayed by skillful primary users. Which hopefully they change trace rifles, because I don't like that they're relevant. They kind of fall under auto rifles and annoys me.
Yep.
I don't like those metas, but last but not least, grenade launchers useful for weakening an opponent, getting damage around corners with bounces, or getting 1-hit eliminations with direct impact at the cost of projectile travel time, and being in a bad place if you miss your shot with a single round magazine. So it sounds like they know. I mean, they did go on later to mention grenade launchers, but we'll get to that. So next up would be the changes to aggressive frame shotguns. So, increased aggressive frame shotgun cone angle from 4 to 4.25 degrees. So you're getting a wider cone angle, I guess.
Yep.
Reduce shotgun damage fall off minimum by 2 meters. Next is the increased shotgun damage fall off max by 2 meters. And note, slug shotguns are unaffected by this change.
Shabby
users.
Chaperone,
duality.
First and last out. Ganoras, if you've still got one lying around.
I do.
The one from this season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one from Europa's launch. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So they are reducing the damage fall off minimum by 2 meters. But increasing the damage fall off.
So fall off will start sooner, but it'll take to reach its maximum. Yeah. It takes longer.
Yeah. We'll see how it affects. If anything, I think we'll see a lot more Roos Walker.
For
Retold. Sure. Retold's still going to have some solid range.
Retold's still an aggressive.
Retold's not an aggressive.
It's a precision.
It is? Okay. Then
yes. It's not a slug, though. It's a different thing.
Yeah. I used it a lot because I didn't have a mind benders back in the day. Yeah, I'd say you probably see a lot of that. I'm curious to see how, I think Prophet of Doom from Garden of Salvation.
I think it's a
Precision.
rapid.
Precision? Is it?
I'm
Is it?
fairly certain it's just precision.
Here, hang on.
Let me check. I think I've got one.
I thought it
I'm
was
actually
a
surprised
lightweight,
how I did.
actually. So we've got 3 options here. This one, we're bound to be right. One of us is right.
One of us is right.
If it is, I want my crown. Damn it!
Prophet of Doom.
Doom. There it is.
Precision.
Precision. Really?
However, it can roll.
Give
So
me my
like,
crown.
interesting enough, that last column has rampage or opening shot in. So you could get
I'm gonna need to go
potential.
back in the garden.
I have never run garden.
I need to run garden because I want.
I would
that.
love to run garden. I want the hand
I want
cannon.
that, the hand cannon, and the sniper.
I would
Oh,
also
and the
take
pulse
sacred
rifle.
trumpets.
I hate that raid. Oh man. Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So like, I'm expecting to see a lot more other ones. I don't think we'll see as many slugs as people think because I mean, it's
No, I don't think so.
it's maybe at the top end. The top like 1%, you may see more slugs because their aim is just better, right? But for your average Crucible user, I don't think so.
I feel like slug mains, like the people who've been actively getting good with slugs, like all this time, they're gonna start dog walking everybody else.
Oh yeah,
Especially
I
if
mean,
those changes are significant to the shotguns.
oh yeah. I definitely agree with that. Next up is aggressive 120 RPM hand cannons. They acknowledged that they did it, that they adjusted them in Season of the Splicer, but didn't make enough of a difference. We believe they're still too rangy and benefit way too much from a small damage buff to tapping. It's tricky because they're now not much different from their Beyond Light form. They already had better range and 2 tap with Rampage. People have latched on to their ease of 2 and 2 tapping potential since the buff in Beyond Light and new 120s and Season of the Chosen encouraged people to try them out. With this change, we expect other primaries to become viable where previously 120s ate their lunch, including adaptive hand cannons, pulse rifles, scout rifles, auto rifles, while allowing 120s to keep the advantage of hard-hitting peak shooting at range. So adaptive frames are 140s, yes?
Yes.
I'm willing to bet we end up seeing more of those. But the changes specifically to 120s reduce precision damage multiplier from 1.8 to 1.6, preventing a 10% damage bonus from allowing 2 tapping in PvP.
So no 1 stack of Rampage, 2 tapping, basically.
Yep. Reduced aim assist minimum fall off distance by 1 to 2 meters depending on the range stat. So if you've got, some really solid range, you'll be all right. Sounds like reduced damage minimum fall off distance by 1 meter. This reduces their damage fall off advantage over other hand cannons to 1 meter. As usual, this is 1 meter for the zoom scaler. So that's as a hip fire versus getting the zoom multiplication kind of deal going. So they're reducing the minimum fall off by 1 meter. Advantage over other hand cannons to 1 meter. So they have they have an extra meter of damage fall off.
Yep.
Or before your damage starts to fall off over other hand cannons. However, like 1 meter in game isn't really that.
It's like a step.
Yeah,
it's
literally
step once.
Yeah. That's really not a lot. We also have a few changes to perks. Let's talk about hand cannons first, and then we'll get into that real quick. So yeah, I think we'll see a bit more 140s. A little bit, not an insane amount, but not like when 140s were all over the place and the meta. But
I think with that change, that a good rolled Adept Pally and a good rolled Fatebringer, and I guess Time Lost Fatebringer, which will be coming out next week, will outrange our 120s here. I
would agree with that.
I think so. I'm eyeballing it here. I don't think that's going to do much to. I mean, I imagine they don't bury 120s, but like I don't think that change is going to do much to.
I don't
stifle
think
them.
it. Yeah, I don't think it buries them. It'll definitely open the book a little bit, I guess,
Yeah.
as far as like what you can use, which is good. I still don't think it's going to be enough to make scout rifles other than like your trusty type gun a little bit. I just I don't know. Scout rifles need room to breathe, and I think that's more of a map issue versus
Yeah.
um necessarily other things. Eating its lunch, as they said. Tibber, you got any thoughts on hand cannon chases?
So I barely used hand cannons honestly until fairly recently. 120s felt nice. I used 110s before this. Loved them. Criminal's Dagger lived in my hand. Me and Chance rocked that shit. But with 120s, they feel great. But I will admit that range is too much. It does need to be reined in. They are just too oppressive. It's not that they're OP. It's just that they can overpower anything else on the field. Same thing with DMT. That it's not that the gun itself is OP. It's not overpowered. It's oppressive. That it can just outshoot anything that's in that range, and there's no room for anything else to breathe in there. So by changing it up and changing hits, aim assist, cone, and the things that they're going to be doing, because I know we're jumping ahead on and talking about what they're doing to DMT. But by changing it the way they're going to, it's going to give other things a shot at actually having a chance to win the gunfight. With hand cannons, I'm looking forward to seeing things mixed back up because I used 140s a little bit. Truthfully, I like 180s. Give me my Survivor's Epitaph.
It's the Epitaph solid on console and certain maps, in my opinion. There are certain maps where I just can't compete with 120s as much. But like,
I'm
if the map's a little bit more.
I'm looking forward to the 120s getting nerfed and the 180s being able to shine because there are some gems in the 180 category.
I think Destiny suffers for, and this is going to be kind of off topic, but I think there are just too many too many different types of so you have I feel like 180s, sidearms, submachine guns, now trace rifles, all kind of occupy the same
range, basically.
And unless you've got one hit kill, the ability to kill super quick, nobody's going to touch it. There's no reason to how many sidearms do you see now, really? How many submachine other than the trials submachine gun? Other than that, how many submachine guns do you see? There's just so much that occupies this small space, which I think also is a map problem. There's just not enough. Their maps just aren't big enough for a lot of things to have their space. I mean, you should be able to use scout rifles to almost counter snipers and stuff. But you're not going to be able to because there's going to be a dude flying around with a 120 who's absolutely going to throw off your shot unless you're using something that's really quick firing. At that point, you don't have the same amount of range as some of the harder hitting scouts, other than Jade Rabbit, which I see occasionally, or DMT. They did change some perks. So drop mag can no longer roll on new weapons or on new drops of weapons. Will have functionality changed later. So they are basically disabling drop mag. I have a drop mag criminals.
Suck it.
It'll still work on your weapons.
No, it will. So I have one. Yeah. And I'm happy I have one. Until we see what the changes are. There's a change coming next season that requires adjusting this, and some perks with similar functionality. More on that later. So they're changing it because of an update. They're basically saying no more of this until we have a reason to change it. So we're not letting you guys have it until we change it, which is honestly kind of surprising. I kind of like that, because we know this is going to be an issue. So we're kind of taking a preemptive step to kind of stop it. This is at least what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Pulse monitor fixed an issue where the handling bonus was no longer applying, which I guess is good. I don't know many people who run pulse monitor guns, but all right.
There's a reason. It tells me how close people are. When I'm on my hunter and I want to dodge and get a melee, I swap to the gun that has pulse monitor on. When I see pulse monitor pop up on the side, I know that I'm close enough that if I dodge, I'm getting my knife back.
There you go.
Science,
for rewind rounds. Try to say that 5 times fast.
Hell no. I can barely talk normal.
I know. Fixed an issue where the perk would not trigger if the last shot in the magazine missed, or if the player reloaded at another weapon before firing the final shot. Didn't know that was a thing. Reservoir burst. We've seen the complaints that the detonation on kills doesn't feel reliable or impactful, so this has been updated with same consistency and speed fix as Dragonfly. All right. I mean, some good fixes, I guess, but whatever. Dead Man's Tale. Super dominant on PC because it's super easy to use. Lots of complaints. They've kind of acknowledged it. It's not as bad on console as it is on PC. I have a base DMT. I haven't even gotten the random rolled version of it. I can tell you it's now.
I have the God rolled killing win one.
Nice.
Well, God roll from the barrel to the stock.
Right now, if you're using keyboard and mouse on PC, it's disgusting. It's disgusting how good that gun is. However, they are removed hipfire damage fall off scaler. Was 1.8 to match zoom. And then they are changing the aim assist cone angle hip scaler reduced from 1.5 to 1.2. So they're changing the aim assist cone a bit and removing the hipfire damage fall off scaler. So some changes to the hipfire, which is good, I guess. It's still a beast at distance. Like, I don't know. They should probably do something about the cranial spikes, but unless they've already done that and I missed it. They're changing sleeper because, you know, and this is a good thing, I guess. It looks like it. Fixed an issue where sleeper simulant was benefiting less than other linear fusions from the season of the Splicer linear fusion precision damage buff. Total buff now 16.5% compared to the 15% buff other linear fusion rifles received. Sorry, my foot itches. So yeah, that's cool, I guess. I don't know many people that use linear fusions in PvP, but you know, yay. More changes in the future. More changes than usual for a season coming in season 15. What season are we in? 14? 13?
14.
So next season. So a lot more changes, which is kind of cool. Hopefully they're not all butt cheeks. Some follow-ups to the above and others that were too large for mid-season. So here's a preview of some of the changes. Of course, expect a new batch of weapons and perks. So fusion rifles. We'll be wanting to tackle the subfamily I can't even talk for a while. So we're planning a large rework of fusions. Changes to fusion rifle perks and mods and custom tuning to most exotic fusion rifles. Yes, Vex. Is Vex Smith a class fusion rifle? Let's say yes. So they will be changing fusions to kind of make the different frames feel different and kind of stand out a little bit more, which is, I guess, kind of cool. I'm assuming like rapid fire ones will work a little bit more like a shotgun.
Rapid fire ones will have an intrinsic plan C like perk.
Backup plan.
Yep.
That would be
Really?
kind of solid.
No, that's my bet.
That's
Oh, that's your guess.
his betting. He's guessing. Yeah, that's not there. They just basically say that they want to rework a large rework of fusions, perks, and mods.
I mean, it makes sense
custom
having a
fusion.
rapid fire. Yes, give it a faster charge time and everything, but to be able to hot swap it like that,
That'd be
So-
a W.
They specifically mention custom tuning to most exotic fusion rifles. So I wonder.
And Passion.
Bless them.
This is gonna break the game again.
They're gonna change to Lesto and it's gonna just delete D2 completely.
My problem with the Lesto is that thing has so much range and those pellets are so accurate at the range. It needs to have more bloom to it.
Yeah. Something needs to happen to that gun. Maybe just delete it.
Like stasis needs to remove from the game, you know?
So breach grenade launchers. With the above shotgun changes, we expect other special weapons to increase in usage. This is good that they acknowledge that. And believe that grenade launchers have the potential to become more frustrating to play against as they become even slightly more common. So we're planning a small change that specifically touches priming and cleaning up targets. He uses the right way. And I say the right way as in like he's not using it like a mountaintop with micro missile, right?
Mm.
It sounds like they definitely want grenade launchers to kind of meet what they kind of described earlier in the TWAB, where it's more of a cleanup weapon, and if you miss, you're screwed. Which is good. I mean, grenade launchers are like that weird weapon that like, do they really belong in? Like, do we need them? Like, was that really necessary? Kind of deal.
Yeah.
Scout rifles and hand cannons and well, this is PvE. Kind of skip over the PvE stuff. So special animal economy, particularly in PvP. I can't talk tonight. I guess I used all my talking last night. But while the above changes to shotguns should help tone down aggressive frames a bit, we've got a couple small changes planned that should reduce the amount of special ammo floating around to a degree, and further changes in mind in case they're needed. So I wonder if they're just gonna nerf scav mods, or make it so you can't equip like double scav.
I don't see why those should work in PvP to begin with. I didn't realize they were until a season or two ago.
I think one is okay, but like when I ran it, so I have a perfect example of this. I ran into a guy in comp, I believe. I was playing with Chad forever ago. This was many seasons ago, and the guy was running double scav mods on his boots, and he was just body shotting with Beloved. Just that's all. He was just picking up massive amounts of special and just body shotting. That was it. And he was like, "Oh, I'm so good." I'm like, "No, you're just picking up massive." I was like, "How many shots did you even have?" He's like, "Oh, like 20." I'm like, "Oh, well, you should probably not have that." I'm willing to bet they make it almost so you can't equip double without like sacrificing something.
A small child, right, Face?
I mean,
I kick children.
I only run one scav mod on my boots. Thank you very much.
If it means I got to sacrifice a small child.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's gonna screw up my build. It's probably gonna probably not gonna be able to run like radiant light on my boots now.
Probably.
Make me very sad.
I believe it.
However, I also think they need to change traction and just make an intrinsic thing. But Anarchy's getting nerfed, which is good for PvE. They're planning to buff exotic primaries to give more use in high-end PvE content, which I don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe some of that stuff will affect PvP to a degree.
Depends if they make it where it's a what's it called? A separate balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I
feel like they'll make, let's say, for example, Thorn. They'll make it like intrinsically unstoppable or something like that.
Bring me
Really
back
cool.
the House of Wolves Thorn.
Oh boy,
So
I'm
angry.
gonna burn the world. No, I'm just kidding.
man, what's
Um,
that? Two tap.
I do. I love Thorn. I love making people salty by using Thorn. Especially on like it's a bad warlock. That
Oh,
with
man.
like Viking funeral and oh man.
Oh,
All the burns. All the burns.
Man, I spent
No.
6 months trying to fight that playstyle with a fucking Timber's Lash, the aggressive Ironbender gun.
Well, I was also the guy who like would wear the ram before they took the
Jesus.
it had that intrinsic like health. You could
Yeah.
like eat bullets. It was great. They had that like intrinsic health boost to it. It was wonderful. And then when like nothing manacles were a thing, I was like, yep, put those on. It was so
Oh my
great.
God.
I was
Man,
like,
who
this
is
is
the
dirtiest
good
warlock.
lord.
I'm a horrible warlock. I like I treat my warlock like a glass cannon. Like I just want to hurt people. That's when I play warlock.
Why are you so aggressive? Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Hurt
I
this
feel like
man.
that's how you should. I feel like that's how you should play warlock. You should just be aggressive.
That's me. I'm the aggressive
That's
fast
insane.
people with 30
Is there
percent.
any more standouts on the thing?
They
the
mentioned
club?
that they're going to keep an eye on the special, keeping a close eye on special weapons. We'll be making adjustments once we see how they perform in the wild, particularly fusion rifles and grenade launchers. So they are predicting with the shotgun changes that fusions and grenade launchers will be the next meta, which we've already alluded to. We have an idea what may need more adjustments as these changes shake out, but we'll wait to discuss them as our plans solidify. We will keep a close eye on feedback on exotic weapons and which weapons are under/overperforming, as we have some tweaks planned next week in season 15. Planned next week, season 15 and beyond, which should shake things up. Note that we specifically look at catalysts as a way to buff underused exotics. For example, why we made catalysts for Trinity Ghoul and Deathbringer. So expect more reasoning moving forward. Bring on the chaperone and catalyst. Willing to bet. At some point, that gun needs to get a catalyst. You know who else would be super happy about that? Tibber? Draco. Draco would be ecstatic if they gave that thing a catalyst.
It's in the game already. There's a catalyst with it.
I'm willing to bet it gets a catalyst.
It's already been data mined. It's in there. It's been
in there for a long time, but they haven't bothered to do anything with it. That gun definitely is underused. It's super great. Like it's amazing.
It is great.
But
that's going to be it for us here. If you want to catch us live, you can catch me at twitch.tv/Tibbercat. Fates, where can they find you at?
Fates_Pyro, pretty much everywhere, or add a TTV on it. You know, TikTok, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Instagram. I don't know where else. Everywhere. YouTube.
Everywhere, all the wares.
Pretty much. If I can get my name on something, I pretty much sign up for it. You know,
you make it sound like you just walk around town and just start writing your name everywhere, man.
I do. I just opened my OnlyFans account now.
Oh Jesus!
No, I'm kidding.
Him being a dirty warlock. Anyway, Chance, where can they find you at?
Agashifter09 on Twitter, Instagram, and my inactive Twitch account that I haven't used in a hot minute. You might as well follow that.
I was about to say, let's just jump on tonight. About an hour?
Yeah, I'll be on in an hour. We'll see if I can get it. Why not?
Sweet. All right, that's going to be it for us here at 7CR. And until then, we will catch y'all in the next one. See ya.
Like to point out that the Warlock agrees with my aggressive gameplay.